Hello. This section is using satellite information to search for shipwrecks. I have selected a number of areas which I have personally dove on, and that we can actually show and see that, yes, you can search for shipwrecks using Google Earth. So we're going to start here. One of the first places which I go to very often is called the Windjammer Wreck. The Windjammer Wreck is about 75 miles west of Key West. And so as we're zooming in on the map, you'll find that we are coming close, and up to the upper right is Loggerhead Key as it materializes there. Over to the lower left is the Windjammer Wreck, which anybody can go to. It's a tourist location, very nice wreck. And I'd say come over here, but first explore it using Google Earth. And here we can slowly zoom in and take a look at our shipwreck. And this went down in 1907. And up here to the upper left is the little white dot, which is the mooring ball that you can come up to and tie off and explore the reef and explore the wreck. So the Windjammer Wreck, as you zoom in on it, the main bar portion here is in the bottom. Then you can see the masts going up a little bit to the left, and one goes off to the right, forming a sort of X. Another mast is angling diagonally off from the main hull to up towards the east-northeast. Then you have decking sections right in the middle here, and of course the top superstructure ends up over to the farthest where the pin is. So yes, you can take a look at this. In a different section of this book, I have drone footage of where we went to the same area, and using drones showed how you can locate and identify parts of a wreck. And so when you see a guy with a pink tank on swimming around in scuba, that is me as we're doing the underwater surveying of this. So that gives you an idea about a well-known shipwreck. Other types of things you might be looking at for. We're going to zoom over to Fort Jefferson, which is just a stone's throw away. And if you actually want to go into it, there are a number of little shipwrecks in this area, but what we're really interested in is first the fort is here. And yes, if you know your history, Samuel Mudd was imprisoned in the lower tower at the very bottom there. Who is Samuel Mudd? Well, he helped John Wilkes Booth after he shot Abraham Lincoln. And so he was in prison for helping him out. But what's interesting about this area is the fact that using your satellite, you can see coral reef areas, which are over here to the left. What also is in the news is in this area here, basically in the center, which is really, really shallow. You can basically walk almost through some of this. They found the hospital and the graveyard for when when Samuel Mudd was there. They had a big cholera epidemic, and they promptly evacuated the sick over to the hospital area. Well, after many hurricanes, that whole area has been inundated with water and had been lost in history until this year. And so it is now being reviewed, and gravestones are being unearthed, which are under the water. And so you can find all types of stuff using your satellite information. Now, I want to show you a couple other shipwrecks. One is the Alicia. This is over in Miami, just south of Miami in Biscayne Bay. The Alicia, this gives you an idea about how the shipwrecks look. So there's a place where it says Alicia Wreck right in the center of the screen, and there's one that I put in, Alicia 1905 shipwreck. That's when it sank. It is off to a little bit to the right, but some of it ended up straight north here. So you can identify certain straight line points of where the shipwreck is. Also, they put mooring lines in, otherwise mooring buoys. And it goes straight off here is the majority of the ship. You can actually see fairly well the straight lines of the shipwreck. and it ends up just about in this area. And there is another mooring ball here and one off to the left here. So if you bring up a small boat and you want to go scuba dive this area, there's nice places to be able to do so. The water, when we were there, was so clear. It's basically at about a 40-foot depth, and you could clearly see down at the bottom. So we got some excellent photos of that area. So zoom back out. This is what it looks like further away. So when you're doing your search, try to look for straight lines. The next one is the Earl King. That went down in 1891. It was like a 300-foot ship. And you zoom in on it. This is where someone else had put the site, but in actuality, it is where I put the site where we went diving on it. Well, you can usually tell if you're in the area correctly, because the mooring balls for this one, you got one here on the right and one here on the left. So you can tie off into that area and promptly snorkel and scuba dive this area. We dove this, and we had wonderful visibility. Once again, it's around 40, 50-foot depth. Visibility was well over 100 feet underwater, and it went off once again to the north-south of the shipwreck. So you zoom out. Can you recognize that being as a shipwreck? Sometimes it's not easy, but take a look at the differences in colors. So you look at this and you say, hey, is that possibility? You put a mark there, and then you come back with your sub-bottom profiler or your magnetometer or your side scan sonar and figure out whether or not it is what you think it is. The third one, the Mandalay. That went down recently in 1966. It's in shallow water. It's in about 25 to 30 feet of water. And you can zoom in on it where the system says it's down here. Well, there is nothing there. The shipwreck is up here. And yes, the government put out other coordinates stating where it actually is versus whoever put this other one in the wrong location. But once again, take a look. Just above the 19 is a white dot. That is your location for your for one of the mooring buoys. There's one straight up to the top and one off to the left. That's the Mandalay, went down, as they say, 1966, and it's a really nice one. There's another wreck further off to the right, but we don't cover that at the moment because you saw enough. Now, I have this other one I dove on just a couple of weeks ago. It's a three-masted, I think it's a schooner, but it's a three-masted sailboat. I believe went down sometime in the 1920s and is undocumented. So my hunch is probably one of the ships being smuggling in alcohol during that time. Just as how the wreck is shows you it's probably of that age, about 100 years old, but it's not documented anywhere. But we did a side scan sonar in that area and found a nice A. We dove on it and found the shipwreck. But if you are going to be looking via satellite or via drone, you're not going to see anything because it is so turbid that you can't see down any depths. So satellite or drone is pretty much useless. Now, on the other side is I went to the internet and found out the coordinates where they had the Atocha of 1622. And if you go by those coordinates, it says you are way over here. Well, in the literature, and I actually have this other map stating differently, that they say it is 6 miles off of where the Spanish camp was after everybody made it to shore from when the ships went down. You have the Santa Margarita, which was right off of the islands, and then you have the Atocha, which is south of it. In that map, it says that the reef section was about 6.7 miles away, which puts it about there. And it is supposed to be shortly up a distance away, maybe a half a mile to a mile from that, off at a 45-degree angle, at a distance of 6 miles. So if we come back over to here and come down 6 miles off at a 45-degree angle from that location, that puts us about there, which is very different than from where the literature says. That's a long way around. Now, on the other hand, is the Atocha went down and the hurricane spread it all off. So part of the ship was here, and they could take a 45-degree angle from that point for about a mile, mile and a half is where they found the cannon, a whole batch of coins, and lots of other miscellaneous components. So this whole area here was the Atocha. So there is not a specific location for it. It is about a mile and a half, 2 miles long. Okay, so that gives you an idea of do not necessarily go by what is on the internet. The internet doesn't give you the precise area because they don't want you guys going there. If you happen to be in the know and find the proper maps, you can at least get it a lot closer. But the thing is once again, it's a shipwreck, and it's in 1622, and it's made out of wood, and it's spread all over for at least a mile or so. The Santa Margarita is known to be just up to the north, east, tiny bit to the east of where the Atocha went, and it's about 3 miles off from there. And so that puts it someplace out in this area here, the Santa Margarita. Okay, it's much shallower water there. But most of these areas have been totally picked clean of treasure, but it is nice to know where it is. Just know that the documented area is not where it's supposed to be. Okay, so that gives you an idea about using satellite information to find shipwrecks. Thank you very much.